Hello everyone. Today's poem is Zhou Song, 思文, a Zhou Song from the Book of Songs. This anthem song is dedicated to Hou Ji, who was treated as the very first ancestor of the Zhou people, of the Zhou race. And even this figure was in some of the history book, but it's half between the folk stories, half between the real historical figures. Anyhow, most Chinese still believe Hou Ji was a real guy, just like the great Greek poet Homer. He has a lot of stories of the very ancient Greek people, and most of us still believe the stories by Homer is real and true. So it's so quite similar. Anyhow, the Hou Ji was much ancient even than the stories by Homer. Hou Ji is roughly sometime around 4,000 years before us. And the Zhou dynasty was founded sometime 3,000 years before us. So there is a big gap, many generations between Hou Ji and the first Zhou king, right? And even in the history book, some generations was not clear between Hou Ji and the first king of the Zhou dynasty. So basically, Hou Ji is a very ancient figure, traced as the very first ancestor of the Zhou people. And Hou Ji, basically, this is a title, is a position's name rather than a people's name. Hou means a minister, someone was responsible for some duties. Ji means the crops, all kinds of crops. So Hou Ji basically means the minister of the agriculture. And finally, it became his name, finally. We can see a true pride that the Zhou people have per their skills, per their love toward agriculture, toward crops. And this is a heritage from their first ancestors. And the Zhou people are always, and they are so proud of this heritage. Okay, let's get back to this poem. The title, 思文, means to thinking about something sophisticated. So the character 文 in modern language, it means civilized, sophisticated, and smart, wise. So basically, it's something civilized, sophisticated, and the term 文化 means cultural, right? So, and the civilization 文明. So 文 is a very positive term in modern language, but in the ancient time, most of the time it means a pattern. So that this character comes from the colorful patterns from the bird, from the animals, and the most famous patterns, colorful patterns, is the pattern of a tiger. And so this character, Wen, was strongly linked, related with a tiger as well in the very ancient time in the Zhou dynasty. So there is a very famous minister in Chu country. his name is 子文. So Wen is his given name, and he also has another name, 斗骨乌图. So 乌图 refers to tiger. Is his another name. The sound is the local dialect of the Chu country. So 乌图 basically means tiger. And in the Zhou dynasty, in the two names, they are either with the same meaning or they are very, very closely related, or either they are opposite with their meanings. And in these circumstances, Wu Tu is strongly related with another name, Wen. So Wen is strongly related with tiger, because on the forehead of the tiger, that's the most powerful and magnificent, colorful pattern the Chinese think of. And the tiger is always regarded or equivalent, paralleled to a king. So the title in this poem basically means, when we thought about, we were reminded of the sophisticated patterns, the sophisticated administrations of our ancestors, Hou Ji. Okay, let's have a quick go through of these simple anthem songs. And let's focus on some of the characters, and thus from the character analysis to the characters, we have more idea of the very ancient Chinese thinking and philosophy. 思文后稷，克配彼天. So when we think about, when we remind of our ancestors Hou Ji, his great achievement, his sophisticated administrations, his achievement to civilize, to cultivate the Zhou people, and he was capable, and he is worthy of to stand in the heaven. 克配彼天. So 克 means capable, or he is able to. To make it simple, the first pair of sentences means when we think about, when we remind of our first ancestor, Hou Ji, it was him who brings the civilization to us, who brings the sophistications to us. Why? Because before Hou Ji, the Zhou people was half savage, half civilized, and since Hou Ji and his education, his administration, the Zhou people learned to grow the crops, and they became the farmers, and they live on the farming field, rather hunting, fishing, and or shepherd as a shepherd. So basically, after Hou Ji, the Zhou people was a group of farmers, and even today, the mature agriculture was still regarded as the starting of the civilization. And okay, let's continue this sentence. The second half means, because of this great achievement, our first ancestor was finally ascend to the heaven, and he was with the God. 克配彼天, he was with the God. So finally, the first ancestor of the Zhou people became a god. Okay, the second pair of sentence. 立我烽民，莫菲尔极。With all the blessings, the efforts of our first ancestor, Hou Ji, I stand up on this position, and all our people was able to sacrifice to the heaven. And it's all because of your efforts. So here, this explanation is only by myself. So the traditional explanation means Li was explained as to catering. So with this explanation, the traditional explanation to this sentence means our first ancestor, he catering all the prosperous people of our Zhou people, and it's all by his great achievement. So this explanation is a unique and is a only exception in the Book of Songs, and in the ancient history book, either in the Book of Songs, Li was always translated as a king ascend to his position, a king ascend to the throne. So Li Wo is an ancient way of writing sentences. He put the verb in front of the subject. So the real sequence, or if I resequence the sentence in modern way, it should read like this: 我立民争. So here we can see that the sacrifice goes to Hou Ji, the first ancestor of Zhou people, and the people who was singing the anthem, who was writing this anthem, is a king of Zhou. And which king of Zhou, I have no idea. But 我立 very clearly tell us it's a king, and he ascend his throne. And this poem, this song, was played, was sang at the event, the ceremony, when he ascend his throne. And all the people around him in this ceremony, they offer a huge, great sacrifice to the God, as well as to their first ancestors, because the God and the Hou Ji, they were both God in the heaven. And here is a very interesting character, Ji. So if we look at the very ancient form of this character, it's just like a right hand hold on a person. Be careful, the holding was on the leg, and it's just like to hold a person, hold up a person totally. So which means this character means to total control someone. So if with this picture, with this meaning, the second pair of sentence precisely means, today I ascend my throne here, and all our people were standing in this place. We make a grand sacrifice to you. Not a thing. Everything was by the hand of you, by the hand of Hou Ji. So this is the real meaning. Okay, the third pair of sentence. 以我来牟，帝命率育. So you gave the plan to me. and the God ordered us to accord His rules and make the production. The production here basically means to give birth to creatures, to kids, the production of the population. So if we look at the very ancient form of this character, it's a very, very clear picture. A woman was giving a birth to a kid, and the several dots along the small kid in the lower part refers to the blood when a mother giving a birth. So, but today this character basically means brought up, to cultivate. But when this character was invented in the very ancient time, it means to give birth. So why they mentioned here to give birth? This is the philosophy of the ancient Chinese. So in the ultimate philosophy book of I Ching, it tells us very clearly, 天之大德乐生. So the most important task, the most important virtue for the heaven, for the God, is to give birth to all the creatures, including human beings as well, of course. So here it pointed out the most critical order from the God, from the heaven to the king of Zhou is, first thing first, you should lead the people. 帅, so that means you should lead the people. The second thing is you should help to make the production of the creatures, the production of the human population. Of course, for a king, the most important is to make the production of the human population. So here is a very, very interesting word, 来牟. So it was always translated as wheat, the crops of wheat. But if we look carefully into this pair of sentences, it's quite symmetric. 以我, a verb plus a pronoun, and 帝命, the God ordered. So that's correspondent, right? The God gave me something, and the God ordered me some words. And 来牟, mo is the same sound of mo, plan. It's a long word. When we compare 来牟 with its correspondent words, 率育, 来 and 率, they both have a direction. 来 means come up, come to. 率 means to lead someone to a direction. So it both has a strong metaphor or meaning of a direction. 谋, planning, and 育, production. So this is the thing that the God, a king, was most focused on. Of course, I still have other convincing factors why I'm explain 来牟 as come to make a plan rather than the wheat. but it's too complex. I won't talk too much here. Okay, the last sentence. 无此疆尔界，陈常于时夏. So here it also reversed the sequence. It's the sequence of the word. It's not in the normal sequence. So in the normal sequence, this sentence should read as 无疆此尔界界尔. So don't make the boundaries here. Don't line up a border at this place. 无疆此界尔. And let's lay down this constant at the seasons and at this line. So be careful. This sentence has a lot of the meaningful characters. 陈, to lay something all over something. And 常, constant. So this is a very, very key word in the ancient literature. 常, on the surface means something constant, but basically it means the rules, the law of nature, the law of God. So 陈常 means as a king, I should lay the law of the God, the law of nature all over. All over what? 时下. So the normal explanation for 时下means this country land. 夏 is the term that the Zhou people call themselves. Not call themselves, to call the land of the Zhou country. So the Zhou people will always call the land of the Zhou dynasty as Xia. And most especially the coal area of the Zhou people. And 时 means seasons. Be careful, in the ancient literature, 时 is always refers to seasons. Give example, 40, 4 seasons. So 陈常于时夏, from my understanding, it tells us very clearly, as a king, I won't let your people to separate with each other. You shouldn't have border. You shouldn't have boundaries between different places, between different group of people. And I will lay the law all over 4 seasons and this land. Okay, this is for this poem. A very political oriented and very boring to nowadays peoples. And basically, it's quite simple and straightforward. The first 2 pair of sentences is a praise to their first ancestors, Hou Ji, and he contribute the person who write this poem is a king, and he contribute everything, all the fortune, to his first ancestor, Hou Ji. And the third and fourth sentence, in the surface, it looks like an order from the Hou Ji, but actually it was the order by the king to his people, and he make it very clearly with all the heritage from Hou Ji. Now I'm ordering you, everybody. I'm leading you, and I will cultivate. I will encourage the production of everybody, and your people will under the rules by me in every season in this land of Xia. Okay, that's for today. Bye bye.